I'm 90 years old today, and I'm standing here on land I cleared with my own two hands, looking back at nearly 7 decades of work. Most people think you need a tractor to reclaim land, but they are wrong. I've spent my life proving it with nothing but this one ancient billhook. The billhook doesn't need raw strength, it needs rhythm. You dance with it, you don't fight it. This rhythm is actually medicine. Machinery compacts the soil, but the land I cleared, the soil healed. The earth stayed alive beneath my feet because I worked with nature. This tool will outlive me. When my grandson is my age, he'll feel his ancestors' hands in it. That's legacy. That's what we need to find again. Choose presence over speed. Simple tools, used with intention, can accomplish anything. Real power lives in your own hands.
Like nature had forgotten what order was. Vines climbing up dead trees. My neighbors, they laughed at me. They said, "You'll never clear this by hand, you'll die trying dot." One of them told me I should save up for a machine, that only a fool would attempt it with hand tools. But something inside me, something that I think gets passed down from our ancestors, knew better. I had my grandfather's billhook. It was old even then, probably 150 years old, with a blade forged by someone whose name I'll never know, but whose hands created something that would outlive nearly everyone watching this video. So let me tell you what changed my life and my understanding of what real work is. It wasn't about clearing the land faster. It was about understanding why the old ways were never about speed. They were about survival. They were about leaving something behind that would actually grow, actually thrive, actually feed your children and their children. I started using that billhook on a Tuesday morning in the spring. No engine, no noise, just me, the tool, and the dense tangle of overgrowth. And within the first hour, I felt something shift inside my body. The silence was extraordinary. Do you understand how rare silence is? When you use a gas-powered brush cutter, the engine noise doesn't just hurt your ears. It separates you from the land. You can't hear the birds warning you of danger. You can't hear the creaking of a branch about to fall. You can't hear the subtle sounds that tell you whether the soil is wet or dry. You're in a bubble of noise and fumes, and you're disconnected from everything around you. But with the billhook, I was connected to every sound, every movement, every breath I took. The billhook itself is a miracle of ancient engineering that nobody teaches anymore. If you look at the curve of the blade, it's not random. It's not some primitive shape that newer tools improved upon. The blade is curved in a way that allows it to hook and slice simultaneously. When you swing it down at the correct angle, which I'll show you, the edge catches the stem or small tree, and the hook of the curve pulls it toward the blade's sharpest point. It's like the blade is whispering to the wood, coaxing it to part. Compare this to your typical store-bought machete, which is just a flat piece of metal that smashes and hacks. The billhook slides. It persuades. It cuts clean because of something called edge geometry. And that geometry was perfected by blacksmiths who were obsessed with their work in a way I don't think we see much anymore. The blade on my billhook is carbon steel, hand-forged by someone who understood metallurgy through intuition and experience rather than chemistry degrees. That carbon steel holds an edge in a way that modern stainless steel simply cannot. It's not flashy. It doesn't gleam, but it cuts through brambles that would stop other tools. And here's the part that keeps me humble every single day. I've never replaced this blade. 90 years old, using the same tool that my grandfather used, that his father probably used. The only thing I've ever done is sharpen it with a simple stone, the way people have done for thousands of years. There's no mechanic. There's no fuel pump. There's no ignition system that fails at the worst possible moment. And that brings me to something I need to say clearly. Modern machinery breaks down. It breaks down constantly. I've watched my neighbors spend thousands of dollars trying to fix brush cutters, trying to clean fuel filters, trying to replace spark plugs that keep corroding. I've heard the frustration in their voices, and meanwhile I'm working in my field, and my tool requires nothing but sharpening. I've lived long enough to see machines that were supposed to last forever rusted into uselessness. But this billhook will outlive me, and I believe it will outlive whoever inherits it. Now I want to talk about technique, because this is where the real wisdom lives. When I started, I thought I had to muscle the tool, swing hard, use raw strength to cut through everything. Young people think this way. I see them now, and they're so much stronger than I was, but they're exhausted after an hour, because they're fighting the tool instead of dancing with it. The billhook doesn't need muscular strength. It needs rhythm. It needs respect for momentum and gravity. It needs you to understand that the tool is doing most of the work. The technique I developed over 60 years, and I want you to understand this took time to learn, involves swinging from the hip, not from the shoulder. You keep your arms relatively relaxed. You let gravity pull the blade down, and you guide the angle. For thick brambles, you don't swing hard at the tangle. You target the base of the stems, often hidden in the thorns. A precise flick of the wrist at the right angle, and the base cuts clean. One stem down. Move to the next. It's rhythmic. It's almost meditative. I've cleared land for 8, 10, 12 hours in a day without the kind of physical destruction that a vibrating power tool causes. And this is crucial. Your joints don't vibrate to pieces. Your back doesn't throw out. Your shoulders don't develop that chronic pain that chainsaw operators get. The vibration from modern tools causes real damage to your body. Over time, it's devastating. I'm 90 years old, and I can still swing this billhook. My hands don't shake. My shoulders work. I don't have the inflammation that my friends have who've used power tools their entire lives. The rhythm of the billhook, the low-impact swinging, the way the tool works with your body rather than against it. This is actually medicine. This is actually prevention. When I started clearing that first 5 acres, I had to think strategically. I couldn't just destroy everything. I left the native hardwoods standing. I removed the invasive saplings, the trees that didn't belong, that were competing for resources. I carefully opened sight lines without creating a barren desert. What I was doing, though I didn't have words for it then, was creating a sustainable landscape. I was thinking like a steward, not like a conqueror. Modern machinery doesn't allow for this kind of precision thinking. You're either cutting or you're not. You're either using the machine or you're not. But with the billhook, I could make thousands of small decisions based on what the land actually needed. I left hardwoods for windbreaks. The wind can destroy a young homestead. A strong tree block matters. I left corridors for wildlife because an ecosystem isn't the enemy. It's part of what keeps a place healthy. Birds eat insects. Trees prevent erosion. A healthy ecosystem means your soil stays alive. And soil, I learned through the decades, is everything. When you use heavy machinery on land, the soil gets compacted. The microbial life in the soil dies. It takes years to recover. I've seen it. My neighbors have compacted soil that still doesn't grow properly 30 years later. But the land I cleared with the billhook, the soil healed. It never really broke. The microbes survived. The earth stayed alive beneath my feet. There's something else that happens when you clear land slowly, by hand with a primitive tool. You build a relationship with the work. You're not just checking a box, getting it done so you can move on to the next task. You're present. You're aware. You're building something that your hands will remember. Your body develops muscle memory. Your mind develops peace. I cannot overstate how important this is. In our modern world, we're always rushing. We're always trying to do things faster. But this kind of work, this work of reclamation, this work of shaping land, it doesn't reward speed. It rewards intention. Over the 7 decades since that first morning when I picked up my grandfather's billhook and stepped into the brambles, I've cleared many acres. Not all at once, not with some dramatic burst of activity, but steadily, season by season, year by year. And I've watched those cleared areas transform. The first year, I see mostly bare ground and the stumps of what I've removed. The second year, native plants begin to come back. Useful plants, plants that feed people and animals. The third year, the land is becoming productive. By year 5, it's becoming beautiful. By year 10, it's becoming wild again. But in a good way, in a healthy way. And through all of this, I'm not fighting nature. I'm guiding it. I'm working with it. I've also learned that this tool teaches you something about your own capacity. When I was younger, society told me that I was limited without machines, that I couldn't accomplish big things without engines and gasoline and modern technology. And it was a lie. I proved it was a lie with my body, with my hands, every single day for 60 years. I don't say this to boast. I say this because I want you to understand that you are more capable than you've been told. Your ancestors cleared continents with hand tools. They didn't have a choice, but they also didn't fail. They succeeded, they thrived. And somewhere in your body, even if you've never held a tool like this, is that same capacity. The clearing I did with this billhook became the foundation for a homestead that has supported my family for 3 generations now. My grandchildren know how to grow food. They understand the land because they grew up on land that was carefully tended, land that was never poisoned by heavy machinery, land that stayed living and healthy. My great-grandchildren are being born into a world where they inherit land that's fertile and thriving. This is what sustainability actually means. It's not a word you throw around. It's something you build with your hands, decision by decision, swing by swing. I want to be honest about the cost of this way. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes physical effort. There are blisters in the beginning. There are days when your muscles are sore. There are moments when you question whether this is worth it. But I'm here to tell you, at 90 years old, looking at the land I've stewarded, looking at my children and grandchildren, who have inherited not just property but a way of being in the world, it is absolutely worth it. Every blister, every sore muscle, every sunrise I woke up and went back out into the brambles. Modern machinery offers speed, but it doesn't offer continuity. It doesn't offer connection. A brush cutter will last maybe 10 years if you're lucky. Then it's gone, replaced by something new. But the billhook my great-grandfather carried is still here. It's still sharp. It's still working. When my grandson is my age, he'll be able to pick up this same tool and feel his great-great-grandfather's hands in it. That's legacy. That's something we've largely lost, and I think we need to find it again. So I want to show you something that might seem strange in our modern world. I'm going to stand here with this ancient tool, and I'm going to move through the techniques that have served me for my entire life. Watch the angle of the blade as I approach the brambles. Notice the rhythm. Notice that there's no strain in my movement, even though I'm 90 years old and this tool is probably older than most of the machinery in your garage. The blade catches, hooks slightly, and the stem parts, stem after stem. Not fast, but not slow either. Efficient, sustainable, honest work. The land I'm standing on now barely resembles the chaos I first encountered in my 30s. It's productive, it's beautiful, it's alive. The soil is dark and rich. You can smell the health in it. Native plants grow here. Wildlife moves through it. The ecosystem is balanced because I made thousands of small decisions that favored life rather than destruction. And I did this without poisoning anything, without compacting the soil, without creating noise that drove away the birds and the insects. I think about the future a lot now. In these later years, I think about what my great-grandchildren will inherit. Not just the physical land, but the knowledge that it's possible to live and work in a way that's sustainable, that actually heals rather than damages. I think about how the billhook I'm holding represents something much bigger than a tool. It represents the possibility that we don't have to be enslaved to modern machinery, that we don't have to accept that everything requires engines and electricity and constant maintenance, that our hands are still powerful, that our bodies are still capable. There's a kind of freedom in this that I want you to feel. Freedom from the tyranny of always needing the newest tool. Freedom from the constant breaking down and repairing. Freedom from the noise and the fumes. Freedom to work at your own pace, at your own rhythm. Freedom to make decisions based on what's actually good for the land, rather than what your machinery can do. This is an ancient freedom, but it's not gone. It's still available to anyone who wants it. The clearing of land with a billhook has also been for me a form of meditation and healing. In the early years when life was hard, when I faced challenges and difficulties, I would go out with this tool and lose myself in the work. The rhythm would quiet my mind. The physical effort would move the stress out of my body. The connection to the earth, to the seasons, to the real work of building something lasting, it would restore me. I've learned that this kind of labor, when done with intention and respect, is actually therapeutic in a way that no medicine has ever been. I'm standing here now, 90 years old, and I want you to know something important. I could have done this the easy way. I could have rented equipment. I could have hired people with machinery. I could have destroyed the land in a few years and moved on to something else. But I didn't. And I'm not special. I'm not stronger than anyone else. I just made a choice, and I kept making that choice, day after day, year after year. And that choice transformed everything. So here's what I want to leave with you. The most sustainable way to build a homestead, to clear land, to create a legacy that will actually last for generations, might not be the fastest way. It might not be the easiest way, but it's the truest way. It's the way that keeps you connected to your own capacity. It's the way that keeps the land alive. It's the way that creates something that your grandchildren can inherit with gratitude rather than regret. When I'm gone from this world, this billhook will still be sharp. This land will still be fertile. My descendants will still be able to use both of these things, to learn from them, to add their own chapters to the story. That's what it means to truly build something sustainable. It's not about saving the environment in some abstract way. It's about making choices that respect life, that honor the earth, that leave something better than what we found. I believe that inside each of you there's an ancient knowledge that's been sleeping. It's been drowned out by the noise of engines and the shine of new gadgets. But it's still there. It's the knowledge that your hands can work wonders, that your body is capable of tremendous things, that you don't need permission from manufacturers or mechanics to live and create and build. That simple tools, properly used with patience and intention, can accomplish anything that complex machinery can accomplish, and do it better. This is my life's message, shared in the waning years of my time on Earth. Not because I'm trying to convince you to go live in the past, but because I'm trying to convince you that the future doesn't have to be what we've been told it has to be. We can make different choices. We can choose presence over speed. We can choose sustainability over convenience. We can choose tools and methods that connect us to our work rather than separate us from it. And when we make those choices, when we really commit to them, we find that we're capable of so much more than we ever imagined. If you're listening to this, and something inside you is stirring, something is waking up, then I want to ask you to do something with that feeling. Don't let it fade. Don't let modern life pull you back into accepting that you need machines for everything. Start small. Find a tool that feels right in your hand. Make a decision to do one thing the old way, the true way, the sustainable way, and then do it again, and again. And one day, years from now, you might be standing on land you've reclaimed, looking at a future you've built with your own hands, and you'll understand what I mean when I say that this is where real power lives. Thank you for listening to an old man share the secrets that 7 decades of work has taught him. My body is slowing down now, but this knowledge isn't slowing down. It's growing stronger. It's needed more than ever. The billhook is waiting for someone to pick it up. The land is waiting to be healed. Your own capacity is waiting to be discovered. Please subscribe to this channel so that this old wisdom doesn't disappear when I do. Share these ideas with people you love. Prove that the old ways still work, because they do. And remember, you're never too old to start, and you're never too young to understand that sometimes the most powerful tool is the simple one your ancestors have always known how to use.